What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I'm going to be replacing the AHC globes on the LX470. If this is your first time to the channel, this is my 2000 LX470. I rescued it from a salvage yard about 4 years ago, and ever since then, I have slowly been fixing it and making it more roadworthy. Recently, I've noticed that there has been cupping on my tires. The ride has become more rough. It honestly doesn't even feel like there's much of a suspension whenever I hit bumps. It is very rigid, even though I have the AHC in comfort setting. And sometimes when I stop, it decides to level itself rather vigorously from time to time. So today, we're gonna be replacing those globes and see if it helps the ride quality of the Lexus. So here in the engine bay, you have your AHC reservoir. From my understanding, whenever you do the test to see where the fluid is, from low to high settings, it should be about 10 bars in between those. So obviously you'd put the vehicle in the high setting, you'd mark where the fluid's at, put it in the low setting, see where the fluid's at. There should be about 10 bars or so between those levels. Now, I did mine recently and I was like 5 to 6 bars. And what some people have said, if it's that low, then your globes have gone bad. And yes, I'll do the pencil test where I have the new globes out. I'll put the pencil in, we'll mark the line, and then for the ones that we remove, we'll put that pencil in those as well and see if the diaphragm's gone and it just drops to the bottom. I'm pretty sure some of them will be, if not all of them. As far as I can tell, these are OEM globes, so that's gonna be about 25 years old now. And if I can see any of the dates on those globes, I will show you that as well. But I'm pretty sure they're all OEM. So it's time that they get replaced. So let me show you what I got to do this job and then let's jump into it. So of course I have a new bottle of AHC Fluid. I have the 4 globes here. So 2 for the rear, 2 for the front. Somebody suggested a 22 millimeter ratcheting wrench, although I have not seen necessarily a purpose for that, but I have one regardless. I have a 10 millimeter ratchet here, and then also a fan clutch wrench that you're going to need to get the globes off. And I also have a floor jack, 4 jack stands, and a suction device to do this job. Now, right now, the vehicle is in the low setting, which some people have said that you need to start out at. I don't know that it matters if you're in neutral or low. If you know, please leave in a comment down below. But right now, it's in the low setting. So let's get under the vehicle and get this fluid out. All right, I don't know that it matters, but we're gonna start on the passenger side rear. And I got my little tube here. We're gonna just pump this off. You can see everything's wet. I was cleaning this with, actually, let me take this little guy off if I can here. We don't want that to be in the way. We want to make as much contact as possible. I went ahead and sprayed all these connections here and here. Obviously, that's what we're gonna have to be loosening today, so I wanted to make sure that they move as freely as possible. So we're just gonna put this on here. Now, the one thing everybody says is, oh, let me fix that. Tight space under here. There we go. So one thing everybody says is don't be under the vehicle, because once you start releasing the fluid, the vehicle's gonna lower. It will. I've done the fluid before. It didn't come down like super fast or anything like that. It's just something to note. All right, so we're gonna get this attached here. So just don't be all the way underneath the vehicle. And I don't have the jack stands under there yet, but I will apply the jack stands once we're gonna take these out just to give some more room. All right, so let's, oh yes, and I also have glasses on. You can't see, but I have glasses on because I don't want something to happen and this fluid go all over my face. So we're just gonna break that nut. And it's starting to fill. And as you can see, the vehicle has already started to lower. You see it's coming out the line, starting to fill up in my container. And then once this has completed, we will move over to the driver's side rear, do that one, and then we will move to the fronts and then the large accumulator too. All right, so I won't bore you with all four corners because the process is gonna be the same and it should be less and less every single time. Once I get over there to the big accumulator, I will bring you back so then we can do that. Also, if you take a look here at the fluid, that's actually not that bad. It's still pretty clear. It doesn't have that pink coloration to it like it does whenever you first put it in, but that doesn't look that bad. This has been about 3 years now that it's been in the system and still looking pretty good. If you watch the video when I changed this fluid before, it was dark black. So this looks pretty good. Okay, so also up here, this is the front globe right there. And then right behind it is gonna be this long container right here. As you can see, it has a bleed nipple as well. So we're gonna hook our hose up to that, break that loose. And then after all the fluid is out of this, that should complete all four corners and this, and then we can jack up the vehicle and then try to start getting these globes out. All right, well, this is why you wear glasses. If you can see there's the kind of splatter marks, and there's a decent amount of fluid that came out of this one right there. This one by far, this long one by far, had the most pressure behind it, so much that when I cracked it and I had my nipple, had this little nipple on it, it actually was so much pressure running through there, it popped that off the line and then spilled everywhere here. But I was able to connect it back, get it drained. So now all four corners have been done. That's been done. So now we need to get the vehicle up on some jack stands and attempt to get these globes off. So if you want to know how much fluid we've already taken out, we're at 1.5 liters right now, and the AHC reservoir in the engine bay is still at its max capacity. So right now the AHC reservoir is still at max, and none of that fluid has drained with the draining of the globes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that alone. Not going to suck that out right now, and I'm going to start replacing the globes. Hopefully that should stay in the reservoir. I think as long as the vehicle's off, it's going to retain everything in that reservoir. But I'm going to leave that alone, and then we'll start working on the globes. And then once all the globes are on, I'll suck the rest of that out and then fill it up with new fluid. I think that's going to be the plan. So let's get this thing jacked up and get to it. All right, got the vehicle jacked up on all four corners, which looks really weird because it's super tucked in the back and then drooping here in the front. But that jack stands up front, jack stands and the jack in the back. So I think we're going to start up here on this first globe and see if we can get it undone. In theory, you know, all this is a pretty super simple job because all you're doing is draining, loosening, replacing, and filling back up. In theory. Heard nightmares, heard some good things, heard some bad things. So let's see. Have this oil catch here just in case. Remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Oh man, this thing's already on there tight. All right, so I'm gonna put that back on. I'm gonna get my dead blow hammer and see if I can help massage it loose a little bit. Again, like I said, I've used penetrating oil on this. Oh, there we go, broke free. Okay, so now it's gonna be the interesting part, how much fluid is gonna come out. I'm gonna try to stay away over here on the side. Oh, not bad at all. We do have some fluid obviously in in the globe. So we're gonna let that drain out. And yeah, we'll take this over to the bench and we'll take a look at it. All right, so this is a brand new globe. So we're gonna put pencil on there, make sure it's nice and clean. I've already marked it, that's at the top. So now we're gonna put it in our old one and see exactly how far it goes. Well, we lost it. Oh man. All right, let's mark that. Let's mark that here and see exactly how much we're missing. That looks about as good as somebody putting some lipstick on going down the road. So there you have it, guys. That is the obligatory pencil test. I know whenever you see these things done online, did you even replace them or test them if you didn't do the pencil test? I don't even think that you can say it is a complete job until you've done the pencil test. So we have done the pencil test. We have seen that this is bad. All right, so what you're gonna wanna do, it's really simple. There's an O-ring here, right? What you wanna do is you wanna take some new AHC fluid. You wanna put it around that and some on the threads. Clean up, obviously, the mating surface. I'm gonna probably get a towel and some brake clean up the mating surface on the vehicle. Once that's clean, I'm gonna put some fluid all on here. Not overdoing it, just coating it a little bit, and then I'm gonna thread that back in. So the last time I had flushed the system, I had some leftover fluid. So it's a couple years old, but still looks really good. It's been sealed this whole time, so no issue there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, I poured it into its cap. I'm gonna dip it down in there so it will get all the threads. Well, let me just show you. And these things have some heft on them, so make sure you got a hold of it. So look down in there, there's no nasty, there's no particles. So we're just gonna dip it down in. Everything's nice and coated, and then we're gonna go right back into the vehicle. All right, here we go, driver's side rear. All right, not too shabby. Let's go test this one. All right, so we got the driver's side rear out. Remember, here's the lines. The one on the bottom's good, top was the bad. So let's put it in and see what the driver's side rear looks like. And by this one was still all right. Now, obviously, of course, we're still gonna replace all four. Why wouldn't we? But diaphragm still intact in that one. So that's good. And it makes me wonder if the fronts are gonna be bad and the rears are actually gonna be decent, since all the weight's on the front. But we'll see. On to the passenger rear. Okay, here we go, passenger rear. Let's see how this goes. All right, that one actually came loose without having to beat it. Yeah. You know, I really do think if you have these vehicles and these things haven't been touched forever, spraying that penetrating fluid on it really does benefit you. So, I mean, I coated all four of these pretty liberally the other day, just letting it sit and soak in. So, these threads seem to last forever whenever you're getting them out. Oh, yep, some fluid in there. Overall, not bad. You know, and I bet when we test this one, I mean, I could be wrong, but there wasn't that much fluid in it like there was the front driver's side. Both these rear have actually been less fluid. So it makes me wonder, since the diaphragm was bad in that front one, if that's why it held more fluid. But we'll go pencil test this one to figure it out. All right, so here's the one we just took out. Let's see. And line's good. So both these rears were still good. And as we saw, there wasn't much fluid that came out of these compared to that front. A lot of fluid came out. So it does make me wonder, once we get to the passenger side front, if it's gonna, one, a lot of fluid is going to come out, and two, when we do the pencil test, it's bad. You know, we'll see here in a second. All right, here we are, front passenger side, and let's see how this one is to get out. There we go. Oh, not much fluid. Not much fluid. So does that mean that only one of ours is bad? All right, well, let's go check. Well, I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping that I'd find a lot more than just one globe that has gone bad, but apparently that's it, because that one passed the pencil test. So front passenger good, rear's good, front driver, only one that was bad. Win some, you lose some, I guess. But anyways, we'll know that we have brand new all the way around. Now, that does make me wonder, was this the actual culprit? Could it be that just one globe was what was making this thing ride so rough? Only one way to find out. Let's replace that and fill this thing up and get it on the road. All right, so what you're seeing is clean fluid in the reservoir right now. I drained all the way down to the bottom as much as I could of the old fluid out. I've overfilled this because obviously this fluid is going to get put back into the system once we start the vehicle. So now I'm just going to go around and make sure all my bleed nipples are nice and tight. And then I'm going to take this thing off the jacks and then we'll start it up and then start going through the cycles from low to normal to high and top this off as necessary. All right, so all the bleed nipples have been tightened. The globes are pretty tight. We overfilled that because obviously some fluid's going to go back in. So I'm going to start the vehicle now, give it a little bit of time to cycle, and then I'm going to go to neutral and then check the fluid and see where it's at. Going to neutral. Yeah, it says it's in neutral. I'm gonna check the fluid. All right, so we're gonna go over here and look. Fluid level is very low, so we're gonna go ahead and top that off. All right, so you can see here I topped it off. We're about to the max line right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start cycling up to high, back to neutral, low. I'm gonna do that a couple times, then take it out on a drive, come back, check the fluid, and then I'm gonna go to the low, and then I'm gonna go to high again. I'm gonna check the graduations in between them and see if it's changed from what I had previously before we started this job. All right, so I took it out on the road. Went from high, and then I think I was around 20 miles an hour. It dropped down to neutral, which it's supposed to do. Then I stopped, went from neutral to low, started driving. Then about 10 miles an hour, it went from low back up to neutral, which is what it's supposed to do. So as far as that's concerned, it's good. I've checked underneath, there's no leaking. Fluid has stayed pretty consistent, so it's still around that minimum to maximum line. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go ahead and bleed the system a little bit. So since we opened the system up, there's probably a little bit of air in there. So I'm gonna bleed a little bit of air out, tighten everything back up, check the fluid one more time, do my graduations, and then just see where we're at. Probably take it on another test drive where I know that there's some bumpier roads and see if it made any difference. All right, guys, first of all, sorry about the chainsaw in the background. Nothing I can do about that. But just took it out on a test drive, night and day. There's just one place where I take my kids to school over the bridge. Every time I cross this one part of that bridge, I always just brace myself because it's so jolting. I did the same thing this time, except I didn't need to. It was buttery smooth. I barely even felt the bump. So can one actuator or accumulator globe make that big of a difference? I guess it can. Now the other ones were OEM, and actually let me test that. I know I said I was gonna look, so let's take a look at these. So there's a date code right there, 2000, which is exactly when this thing was built. Again, 2000. I'm pretty sure every single one of these are gonna be OEM. 2000, and last but not least, 2000. Every single one of those were OEM, and I'm happy that we replaced them. So was it worth it to do this job? I believe it is. I'm actually really excited to go on some other roads that I know to be bad and see how well it does. As far as my graduations go for the AHC reservoir, I went ahead and checked that. So I went all the way down to low, marked it, went to high, marked it, and it was 10 bars in between. So I went from initially around 5 to 6 bars, which they say is not good, all the way up to 10 bars, which they say you should be 10 or above. I don't know, I'm just really excited because it's never driven this smooth as long as I've had this vehicle. So I've had this vehicle about 4 years now, never driven this smooth. And this is the first time that it's ever felt like it's actually floating on the cloud. So I'm really excited that this worked. Overall, the job was pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I didn't have any issues getting those globes off. One thing I would highly recommend, make sure you hit them with some penetrating oil the day or two before you decide to do this job. I do believe that helped. So if you made it this far in the video, one more thing I'm gonna be doing at the end of every video is I'm gonna be putting the cost tally for what it's been for this LX. So one thing I have noticed about owning this is that owning a 100 series is not cheap. And if you're gonna get into owning a 100 series, it's good to understand how to do your own maintenance and replace things and repair things yourself. Because if you try to go to Toyota or Lexus, you're gonna be paying out the butt. So I'm gonna leave the totals from here on out at the end of every single video, what has cost me year to date to own this vehicle. So you kind of have an idea potentially what you could be getting into if you buy a 20-plus-year-old 100 series Land Cruiser or LX470. But again, thank you guys for watching. I'm glad this was successful. I'm really looking forward to driving this thing even more. Comment down below if you guys have any questions. Be sure to like this video. It helps me out tremendously. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers at some point in time. So if you haven't already subscribed and you're into LX or 100 series content, there's a lot more coming on this LX470 in the future. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you for watching.